please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you. Live from the Lions Den Golf Club studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
It is Wednesday on the Sports Blitz. Thank you for joining us today. RiverValleyLeader.com in the Cogswell Motors Studios. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter here to talk some sports for another hour. A lot of good stuff going on, Weldon. We got some local sports to talk. We've got a lot of national stuff to talk, and then some big Hog news. Basketball team got a big win. Football team got a big recruit.
No, I was going to say they didn't get a big win. That's for sure. We ain't seen that in the last 9 games. But yeah, I watched Arkansas's basketball team practice last night because that's about all it was. I mean, I was telling you this when I came in. Southeast Louisiana, when you come back from Maui or any tournament preseason, you always want to get back with a cupcake. You don't want to come back from that layoff and jet lag and play somebody that's really good. So I get playing an inferior opponent, but that team was awful. I mean, Southeast Louisiana, there's no way you could recruit a lot of those guys and say they were Division I basketball players. I mean, Arkansas, they looked great. Their energy was really good. All that stuff was wonderful. That team was pathetic. Normally we play teams like that, but they'll have like a shooter or somebody you got to account for. Maybe even a big man that you have to take notice of and work on the glass a little bit. They had none of that. This team, like I said, it was a practice last night at Bud Walton Arena. But whatever they did, I hope it gets them ready for Saturday because Arkansas will be taking on the Clemson Tigers in a much-needed game considering it's our last non-conference game of any note as we head into SEC play.
Arkansas beats Southeastern Louisiana 111-65. Most points they've scored in a year. Scored 112 against Longwood last year. What is the underlying theme of that? Arkansas runs it up on teams that are terrible. They did a good job of it last night. Michael Qualls led the team in scoring with 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. He also was joined with 16 points by Bobby Portis, who I heard good things about. Now, you were watching a glorified practice, and I was watching a pretty good basketball game in Clarksville. Clarksville played Pottsville. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But the rest of the Razorbacks, Cody Clark, 15 points. You had 10 from Kai Madden. You had 9 apiece from Kiko Haidar and Fred Gully. Both Kiko and Gully started the game from what I heard. I didn't get to watch it, but from what I heard, Arkansas's pressure was just entirely too much for Southeastern Louisiana. 24 turnovers forced. Arkansas shot 62%, shot 50% from 3, and made 26 out of 34 free throws, 76%. You do those things, you win every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I could take away from it, Arkansas offensively in the half court looked a lot better. Southeast Louisiana, no surprise, they watch film. They came out playing zone, which is the thing to do against Arkansas. The problem is when you have 5'11", 6 feet guards trying to play a zone, it's a lot less intimidating. Arkansas was able to easily drive the zone, easily get inside. Kiko did a nice job taking shots in rhythm. He hit a majority of his 3-point shots. So it was an overall nice flow for Arkansas basketball.
Yeah, 3 threes from Kiko for his 9 points. He's I know exactly how he is because that's how I always had to try to play. It was just, he's much better than I was. But if he scores 9 points, he hit 3 threes. It's just the way it is. If I ever scored 3 points, you know how I got it. 6, 9. It was all multiples of 3. That's all.
Thought you might got to add one. Took it to the hole, got fouled.
I would have had to make the layup for that to happen, and that just wasn't happening. You can't make layups from the bench. So Hogs get nice win leading into Clemson on Saturday at 1 o'clock, Bud Walton Arena. It'll be a good crowd, hopefully, although there are threats of severe weather. We'll see how that happens, whether or not we'll even be here on Friday. I expect to be here. I'm one of those that I'll just pretend that it's not going to happen until it actually does so I don't get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a kid. When snow comes, I'm like, snow, let's go sled down a hill or something, I'm just going to go ahead and keep my
I thought that
expectations
till I lived in Minnesota. Now I'm really not a huge snow fan. Yeah, you know,
When you had to shovel your way out of the driveway.
yeah, when it snowed, I mean, this was like early October, and when it snowed a good 5-6 days in early October, it was going to be a problem. And right now, I checked the weather back in the town I lived in, and they've got a low of -24 this weekend.
Jeez.
So, it should Sunday though. It's going to warm up. It's going to get all the way up to 8 degrees on Sunday, so it's going to be burning up.
You got out just in time.
I did get out just in time because it was getting rough up there. But I'm with you, Mark. We're here in Arkansas. We see some snow. We expect it, and I don't know about you, but I'm noticing the cooler weather coming a little bit earlier this year. A little bit of sleet a couple of weeks ago here and there, so we might be in for something.
Yeah, as we say that, it's going to be 72 degrees today, and it's going to be 30 degrees in 2 days. So welcome to Arkansas, where if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. Wait till tomorrow. It will be completely different. Let's look real quickly at our Peters Family Living local sports look. The biggest news of the day, I probably should just open the show with this. The biggest news to me, I'm very, very excited that we got to break the news and announce that Pottsville athlete Michael Perry has chosen to go to Arkansas Tech University. He is going to play both basketball and football at the next level. An awesome opportunity for a guy who, from getting to know Michael over the last 4 years, it couldn't have happened to a better athlete, a better person. The fact is, he's going to get to live out his dream close to home. His family and friends and fans are going to get to go watch him play at Tech, and he doesn't have to make a decision, where will I play one or the other. He's going to get to play either slot receiver or cornerback in football, and then go over to the basketball floor for Doug Carlskin and play either point guard or two guard, just depending on where he fits in the next 4 years for Arkansas Tech. Just a huge coup for Arkansas Tech, a big deal for Michael Perry, wonderful for Pottsville. Congratulations all around.
Yeah, and I'm going to look at it from the Arkansas Tech perspective, because normally, especially a basketball coach, but sometimes a football coach, you don't like multi-sport players at the Division II, because Division II obviously right on the brink of being Division I. But you have a Michael Perry who is a Division I caliber athlete in some instances. If you're Arkansas Tech, you don't mind working together with the football coach or the basketball coach to get this done, because he can produce for you like a Division I caliber point guard in some ways, and he can be a very high-level football player as well. So I think you push that aside, because you don't see this very often. You may see high school, junior colleges have two-sport athletes. You don't see it very often at Division II on up. Michael Perry, it shows you how special he is, because both coaches were willing to do this. And I'm with you, Mark. He's not just going to be on the team for these squads. He will be a big-time contributor in both sports.
He had opportunities. I can't tell you that I've seen the offer on the table, but from what I'd heard, he had opportunities at Arkansas State. I know that he went on an official visit to Missouri to the sideline of one of their football games, so they at least showed some interest in him for football. But the fact was, he was the state MVP in 4A basketball last year as they won the championship. He wanted to play basketball, he wanted to play football, and he wanted the best of both worlds, and that's what he's going to get. And from what I heard, very reliable source told me that that Arkansas Tech, Coach Monica, just came and laid it out for him and said, look, if you come to Arkansas Tech, you can play both. He said, we won't have any problem with you playing basketball and playing football. We just want you to come play football for Tech. And he chose to come do that. Now, and I know that Coach Carlskin, even back to Brandon Friedel, a graduate assistant who's now at Little Rock Episcopal, he put in a lot of work on Michael Perry, Freddie Lee, Kendrick Lee for the past 4 years. I was watching these guys as freshmen playing up and knowing, I remember going into the Tech Hall gymnasium and watching a summer league a summer league game one year where Clarksville and Pottsville were playing, and I asked him, who are you watching, to Brandon Friedel, and he said, well, we can't get that one. He pointed at Dedrick Lee, but he said we can get those. He said that's what we're going to work on, and 4 years later, it's paying off.
Yeah, I mean, and you brought up what Coach Monica said. I can't emphasize this enough. There's a lot of guys who go on to play college football or basketball, and they played multiple sports in high school, and they probably have some interest at doing it at the next level. Most coaches just say no. But Coach Monica laying it out there, I want to make that clear. That's probably not something that he does for most of his recruits. It's like, hey, you're here to play football. No, you play a little basketball. That's great. But if you're going to be here on our scholarship, this is how you have to play. So, again, I think it just tells you what they think of Michael Perry.
And it also, they wouldn't tell you this, but I think both coaches are confident enough in Michael's athletic ability that they think one of those two sports is going to win out. They think, well, he's going to get out here and play football. He's going to be so good at it that he wants to, stick with football, and then he may play basketball one year and not come back, or the other way around.
Right.
So, they're kind of betting on themselves, which fine with me, and it got Michael Perry to come play at Arkansas Tech. I'd love to see him play all 4 years of both. I'll be at Tucker Coliseum every chance I get, and I'll be at Burkle Field every chance I get to watch Perry. Just a huge, huge deal. Can't say congratulations and thank you enough. He told me on Monday afternoon, and he was like, keep that till Thursday because I don't want to tell it. My mom told me not to tell anybody. So I was like, man, I hope that nobody gets a hold of it because I hate to know something like that for 3 days and then somebody put it out before me. And so I was very happy when he told me last night after the game. I went and watched Clarksville and Pottsville play basketball last night. It was a fun night of basketball. Got to watch JV boys, got to watch the senior girls and senior boys. Pottsville girls won the high school varsity game, and the Pottsville boys won the junior varsity game. The Clarksville boys won the senior game, senior varsity boys game. 71-49, got 26 points from Jaron Thompson, 16 points from Freddie Lee, 13 points from Kendrick Lee. Just an all-around balanced scoring game for Clarksville. And Michael Perry scored 24 with 4 assists for Pottsville, so he was really doing it all. He had he scored nearly half their points himself, and he accounted for several more. Just had a big impact on the game. They just didn't quite have enough last night to beat Clarksville at Clarksville. That's actually Clarksville's first win of the year, and it's Pottsville's first loss. So good night for Clarksville, a good night for Michael Perry all around, and it was just a fun night of basketball.
Yeah, and we knew Pottsville, they were a little bit overmatched coming into this game. We knew their effort would be, up to par as far as how they're coached and the way they play. But just, athletically, Clarksville, they have a little bit too much, playing in Class 5A. Going to be one of the contenders again this year. We know they came up just a little bit short against Jacksonville last year. But no surprise, Pottsville's effort, they've got some kids who haven't played a whole lot in the past with Michael Perry and some of the other guys. So I think they'll be fine in the 4A4.
They're going to be very good. I was talking with Coach last night, and, there are 3 teams in the 4A4. Then I say that. Waldron's going to be pretty good. They've got Hunter Ball, a big man, who's going to be tough to handle. But really, Subiaco, Maumelle, and Pottsville in the 4A4 are going to be the 3 that you really have to pay attention to. Subiaco beat Pottsville last year in the district tournament. Maumelle beat them in the regional finals, and then one other time during the year. Then Pottsville goes ahead, gets hot, and wins the state championship. So those 3 teams are going to be reckoned with in the 4A4 this year. We figure that Michael, he was telling me this is my second game with the football. All these guys. It's the second game for the football players to play with the basketball boys. They had a game canceled because of a death on the other team's family in the other team's family at Bauxite. So they've only played the one game together last night. It's a tough second game to travel into Pantherland and play Clarksville.
Is he 100% yet? I know he had the ankle.
I think he looked 100% last night. I know he looked good. He had Kendrick Lee on him all night, and Kendrick Lee's one of the best defenders in the state, and he scored 24 points. So, and there was a point there in the second quarter where I kind of wish there wasn't a halftime because he had about 10 straight points just like that.
Really?
And they went to halftime, and then the second half, the shots that were falling at the end of the first half just weren't quite falling the way they were at the end of the second quarter. So, I would have been interested to see if Perry put up 40 the way that the second quarter went. So, they came back and got into the game there a little bit in the second quarter, and they just weren't able to continue that with all the depth Clarksville has. Deontay Woodbridge, the talented transfer from Fort Smith Northside, had a drop-step dunk. You don't see that very often in high school basketball, but they've got a kid at Pottsville named Stretch, about 6'6". He's getting better every day. Looks to be a contributor in the next couple of years as a junior, and he's standing there, guarding him on the block, and Deontay just turns around and dunks on him. I was like, wow. So there were some good plays last night from Clarksville. Pottsville had theirs as well. So it was a fun night. Both of those teams going to play very well in their respective conferences and make some noise. Another team that's in a completely different conference, you've got 4 and 5A. They're at Pottsville and Clarksville respectively, but the Russellville Cyclones played last night in the Republic, Missouri tournament. They lost to Ozark, Missouri, 94-76, despite 35 points from Andy Campbell and 13 from Tony Jones. predictably, Coach Mann was not happy with the defense. You give up 94 points in a high school game, your defense wasn't very good.
Especially if you only score 76. I mean, we've heard of up-tempo games, being more high-scoring, but it doesn't mean you're playing bad defense. But something's awry when you only put up 70-something points. That does speak to your defense a little bit. And I think Russellville, I think they'll get it together. I mean, offensively, it's good that they showed flashes. They need a little bit more. You need more production outside of Andy Campbell. And they have guys who are capable of it. It's just they need to get it together. They've played this Missouri tournament the last few years. Normally they fare well. It's time for them to get it going, and I have confidence that they will.
35 points from Andy Campbell. That's a night right there.
They need more.
He's very, very good. The football guys will get back into the swing of things as well. The Russellville football guys have just kind of come in too. Tony Jones, though, 13 points from him, and he was a football player too, so he's sort of worked his way back into the rotation quickly. I'm going to have to get out there and watch Russellville play. I haven't been able to see them play yet this year, but they're apparently going to be a really small and scrappy team. They're going to have to scratch and claw. They don't have the Turners and Gray Harrises of a couple years ago, the guys who can scrap inside. They're going to be a guard-oriented team. And even Andy Campbell, who's a little taller, he's more of a perimeter player. So they're going to have to, like Coach Mann says, just scrap and claw and do what they can to put up points and play defense in a team style. They're going to want to put up as many points as they can every night too. So that's going to be a fun team to watch in the 6A. And as you know, in the 6A, everybody goes to the state tournament, so they're going to have a chance to make a run like they did a couple years ago. They were in the 6A state semifinals after a buzzer beater against Van Buren. So they just want to get hot at the right time. Coach Mann will tell you he doesn't want to heat up too early. So I don't think this is going to be such a big deal for him. We need to make mention one more time that the Morrilton Devil Dogs, noon on Saturday, will be taking on Batesville in the 5A State Football Championship. And again, congratulations to the Arkansas Tech Golden Suns for winning the volleyball Great American Conference tournament. And they're also playing Minnesota Duluth tomorrow in the regional tournament as the 8 seed taking on the 1. They're going to go travel up there to Minnesota and try to get a big upset victory there. Arkansas Tech men's basketball beat 2 ranked teams over the Thanksgiving holiday. Now they've got a big commitment from Michael Perry. I'm sure Coach Carlskent is on cloud 9 right now. We've got a whole lot left today on the Sports Blitz. College football, NFL, our power rankings, and the wire right after the break.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Lots of NFL news to talk about today on the Sports Blitz. Welcome back on a Wednesday in the Cogswell Motors Studios. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter. We got to give you our NFL power rankings, but let's run through a couple of wire stories right now, things that are going on. We didn't talk much Monday about it because we had so much other stuff to do, but Peyton Manning on Sunday afternoon put up 403 yards and 5 touchdowns for the Denver Broncos, moved them back up in my power rankings, probably the most, I guess I'll call it the most impressive game. I don't see anything else right now at the top of my mind. The Seattle Seahawks just putting a hurting on New Orleans on Monday night to move to 11-1. These things are going to shake up our power rankings a little bit. But one other thing that I thought was kind of cool that came out this morning, I say cool, it was just kind of funny to me. Mike Tomlin been fined $100,000, and Darren Ravel tweeted that. Now, this is for him stepping out near the field. A lot of people say he wasn't on the field. He did take a step to where he could have been considered on the field. If his foot had come down, he would have been on the field, and he definitely didn't need to be there. During Jacoby Jones's punt return, or kickoff return, which was it?
It was a kickoff.
Kickoff return, and he was fined $100,000 for basically interfering with action on the field. Like it was a Woody Hayes style. He'd jump out and grab somebody. But Darren Ravel tweeted that fine, that $100,000 fine to Mike Tomlin, is like fining the average American $688.
Well, we know Mike Tomlin, like a lot of these coaches, they make an absurd amount of money. Well earned, too, since I'm in the profession, I have to say. It's well earned. But I really didn't have a problem with the action. I wish it had come down a little bit earlier. I wish it were resolved a little bit better. But Mike Tomlin deserved it. He pulled a little bit of gamesmanship type action, and they fined him for it. I think he's man enough to admit it. He already said that I'll take full responsibility for it. But when you interfere in the field of play, I know it technically wasn't on the field, but there's no question Jacoby Jones slightly rerouted himself, because I think he was on his way to the house. He slightly rerouted himself, and then he was tackled around the 27-yard line, somewhere along there. So I don't have a problem with it. One thing you mentioned, another story that really I want to look at, it's not even a story, it was the other night with Seattle. Russell Wilson, I said this after a couple of passes he threw, I tweeted, Russell Wilson's the total package. Here's a guy who mentally and as far as football intellect is right up there with a top 10 quarterback. We know athletically what he can do outside the pocket. His composure is that of a 10, 12-year veteran. He can make all the throws. I get that he has a great defense and a great running game, but Russell Wilson right now is the real deal. He's a total package. He has blown, RG3, Kaepernick, the other dual threat, he has blown them out of the water. He is playing better football than even an Andrew Luck, even though Luck's offensive line and weapons aren't, what Wilson's are. Russell Wilson's the real deal. I just have to give him his due because he is showing me the total package.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's very good. He's got a couple other things on his side of the ledger there. One, like you mentioned, the defense. He's also got a Guinness World Record loud crowd. They're the 12th man that they can't call the 12th man because the Texas A&M University owns that phrase. The Seattle crowd, unbelievably loud. Now taking back the mantle as loudest sporting event back from the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. Unbelievable home field advantage. And looking at their record, 11-1, a couple games clear of anybody else in the NFC, they're going to have home field throughout the NFC playoffs. Ooh. And right now with a game advantage over Denver overall, they're going to looking at home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs if they keep up this pace. If that's the case, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Seattle. Can you imagine well, I guess obviously the Super Bowl wouldn't be in Seattle, but
Right.
throughout the NFC playoffs, playing at home, can you imagine an NFC championship game between even New Orleans, who I thought was the best team in the NFC? Carolina's won, I guess, 8 in a row now, so they may take that back from New Orleans. You'll see head-to-head matchups later on. Can you imagine playing in Seattle? You remember a couple of years ago when New Orleans tried to play in Seattle, and it was one of those things where Seattle wasn't even expected to be in the game.
Right.
And they caused a stinking earthquake, and Marshawn Lynch runs over everybody, and Seattle wins the game. It's going to be hard for anybody to beat Seattle there in Seattle.
It is. In Seattle, you can't say enough about what they have going at home. But I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed in Drew Brees and the Saints. It's one thing to go up there and get beat with the crowd and that defense, but Drew Brees looked lost. And when I have my elite quarterbacks, I'm strong at 4. There is not a 5th. I think we know that for sure this year after the way Matt Ryan's played. He was the only one threatening to get in there. But Drew Brees, I've always said this, he is the bookends of the elite group, because I think when he's hot, his hot is like 25-yard chunk 7 plays in a row. But I think his floor is lower than any of the other elite quarterbacks, as to say when he's off, he's really off. When he's out of rhythm, he's really out of rhythm. I would have expected to see a little bit more from that offense. I know they're not going to put up 40 first downs like they did on somebody's defense a few weeks ago that we won't have to name, that you and I cheer for. But at the same time, I expected a little bit more from that offense. They look totally discombobulated, and they have to get it together because they have those Carolina Panthers on a short week.
Let's look real quickly, without further ado, at our power rankings. Right now, I've got New Orleans, that team that just got smoked on Monday Night Football, still in my power rankings. I have to respect what they've done so far this season. It's no real slight to them to lose in Seattle. Everybody's lost in Seattle. At number 5, at number 4, I've got the Carolina Panthers on the strength of 8 wins in a row. It's hard for me to put a team who's won 8 in a row below a team that just lost by a lot on Monday Night Football. So I've got Carolina at number 4. I've got New England at number 3. I probably shouldn't because Carolina just beat them, but something about looking forward and seeing the playoffs come about. I don't think that New Orleans or that Carolina could beat New England in, obviously it has to be the Super Bowl. I sort of am. We've always called it a what have you done for me lately type thing, but it's hard for me to see Carolina and New England next to one another, and really expect for Carolina to be able to beat New England. I know that neither one of them probably are going to make the Super Bowl. Well, I say that. The top 2 teams are AFC and NFC, so if things hold to my power rankings, they won't. But those 2 teams, it would be hard for me to pick Carolina to beat New England. Number 2, I've got Denver. The only reason that Denver's not number 1 is because Seattle is, and the fact that Seattle's 11-1 did what they did on Monday Night Football. Can't overlook that. Peyton Manning, 5 touchdowns, 403 more yards on Sunday afternoon. So just an incredible 1-2 tandem here at the top of the power rankings here as Seattle sits at 11-1 and Denver sits at 10-2. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up.
I like what you did with the power rankings. I like the fact that you did do a little projecting ahead, because we do say, it's what have you done for me now, but it's just hard not to look at how you can trust a team moving forward.
Well, it's like, I knocked Kansas City out of my rankings.
Right.
They've lost 3 in a row. They may be better than a couple of those teams, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad because I'm kind of thinking the same way too. I started to go about it that way. I really wanted to, but I went ahead and held a little bit to the what have you done for me lately. You know how I like to do it, Mark. I got to start with my honorable mentions. I got to mention the Cincinnati Bengals. Defensively, they're still big time, but Andy Dalton and that offense is just something about it that's not clicking yet, even though they'll win that division. Detroit, when that defensive line decides to play, you can forget it. You do not want to be the opposing quarterback. It's that simple. And then I considered putting New Orleans in. I would have put them in even in a loss had they looked a little bit better, but because they didn't even show up, had to leave them out. So here we go. Number 5, I got the New England Patriots. I would have had them higher, but defensively against the Houston Texans, they were atrocious. Ben Tate and company ran all over them. Brady had to keep responding. I don't like that. I don't like seeing that. Even though Gary Kubiak was back, congratulations on his health. He was back on the sidelines. Number 4, I got a team, and this is where I'm really investing a little bit here, because I think it's time for things to come back full circle. They beat the Washington Redskins last week. I got the San Francisco 49ers at number 4 because I think they're coming. We know the talent is there. I think they're coming. Number 3, because of their defense and because they're hot, I got the Carolina Panthers. They're playing good football. They got a shot at New Orleans this week. 2, Denver. I think they have effectively broken the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs went into that matchup a few weeks ago confident. Peyton broke them down. Then the Chiefs play San Diego in between. They lose again, give up a ton of points. And then Eric Decker, Peyton, and man, just lit them up. I think the Chiefs' confidence, I think they're broken. I think they're in real trouble. And, of course, number 1, Seattle. The pass rush, the secondary, the running game, Russell Wilson, and they're keeping Percy Harvin on the shelf. He's not hurt or anything. He's still kind of trying to get back from that injury. They're just putting him on ice because they don't even need him right now. Seattle's number 1.
Man, if Percy Harvin's healthy enough, you got to at least – I know they knocked a little bit of the rust off. You got to at least play him a little bit every week. But like you said, it's their choice. They're doing what they feel like they need to, and they're doing enough to win 11 games out of 12 so far. So looking at Kansas City's remaining schedule, at Washington, at Oakland, home against Indianapolis, and then at San Diego. So, they could presumably, looking at these teams, I expect them to win at least 2 of those. I expect them to beat Washington and Oakland. But Washington, with RG3 putting up trash time stats, he might be able to do that and beat Washington. Also, Indianapolis and San Diego. Indianapolis 8-4 right now. San Diego just beat Kansas City 2 weeks ago. So, Kansas City's got a rough little go of it here. If they lose one more in a row, 4 losses in a row would come back and start looking a little bit heavier on them. So our power rankings are as such. Both have Seattle number 1. And, look, coming down playoff time right now, these 5 teams, I've got, like you said, the power rankings, we've got our top 5, and then the honorable mention. You mentioned San Francisco, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. Well, I guess I didn't have Kansas City in my rankings at all either. So they're both in our honorable mentions. There are several teams. Hey, the Dallas Cowboys leading the NFC East, 7-5, should be at least 9-3. They lost 2 games, just crap. The way they lost is just.
What's funny?
Have a 10-point lead at San Diego, blow it. Have a lead against 14-point lead against Peyton Manning, blow it. Lose that lead against Detroit. That's the worst one.
Again, how do you lose another lead to Detroit? I mean, you remember what happened last year or the year before? Well, in Dallas, they blew that lead. Just utterly ridiculous. But you know what? It's funny. Dallas is in position. Was this be 4th year in a row? Last game of the year, the division could be on the line, except they get it at home this year against Chip Kelly and the Eagles. So things hold the form.
Well, it seems like every other time that it counts, the Eagles get them. So I don't know how it went last time as far as last time it counted.
And then the Giants the year before, I
just got a couple Eagle fan friends who will let me hear it whenever the Eagles get my Cowboys. A couple years ago, the Dallas Cowboys had beaten Philadelphia to get into the playoffs, and they rematched in the wild card round. And I think it's the year that Philadelphia beat the dog crap out of Dallas in the playoffs. I believe it was like 2008, a long time ago.
The year they played twice, remember Dallas beat them because that was Romo's only playoff win. You're talking about that year, and then they went to Minnesota.
I'm gonna go back and look because I just remember him giving me so much. We were together playing a flag football tournament in Tampa, and he was just letting me hear it.
That was probably
about Philadelphia beating Dallas.
That was probably week 17 when Dallas could have made the playoffs, and they beat them like 44-7. The winner of that game.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I was mistaken. Yeah. Either way, we've got to go to break. We've got plenty of college football news coming up. USC has found its head coach. May have sort of burned a bridge with a great recruiter as well. So lots of news, including a couple of big college football quarterbacks who have breaking news on them right after the break.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Got some winter baseball stuff going on right now. Jacoby Ellsbury has agreed to sign a 7-year, $153 million contract with the New York Yankees. He is going to go the Johnny Damon, good Lord, who else? There's a bunch of them. Trader route. As the Boston Red Sox are losing players left and right. They lost Jared Saltalamacchia, which I could argue is a good loss. He was terrible in the World Series. And then this Ellsbury deal could be worth $169 million over 8 years if the player option is picked up several years from now. Don't know that he'll quite make the 7 years. We'll see. He could, but it seems like all these baseball deals are a little longer than they need to be just to get the guy to commit, and then they end up not playing that whole thing out. So plenty of baseball stuff that we'll keep our eye on throughout the off season. I'm sure the season ended 5 minutes ago. Pitchers and catchers were reporting about an hour or two.
They don't get much time.
They don't get much of an off season, so we'll keep you up to date with that stuff as it becomes available. But following Twitter the last day or so, man, it's just been a busy time in college football, which is where we're going to turn our attention. The USC Trojans hiring Steve Sarkisian out of Washington, although he swore he was not interested in USC, and also Marcus Mariota, quarterback from Oregon, almost said Arizona. Oregon is going to come back for his junior season. That surprises a lot of people because most people expected him to go pro. And then a little bit of Arkansas angle here. They played LSU Friday, and Zach Mettenberger went out for the last series, wondered what was going on with him. Torn ACL. Out for the bowl game. Rough way for his career to end there at LSU. Some big stories going on in college football.
And I really hate that for Mettenberger because, I mean, he's somebody under Cam Cameron, a pro-style look, a pro-style philosophy. You could really see him taking strides. I mean, this wasn't the same LSU offense over the years. They actually looked like an offense, and he looked like a competent quarterback. Physically, he's always had the tools. I think somebody's in position to get them a late-round steal now with Zach Mettenberger, because I think when he gets healthy and develops, I think he's a very good project player that could turn into something. But, with Mariota, a little bit surprising, especially the way the NFL is now. There's actually a market for his style in terms of a quarterback being a dual threat, but he can throw the ball as well. So I thought because of his stock, he would be somebody who would leave. But maybe he wants to come back. Oregon, they didn't finish the year the way they wanted to finish. I mean, they didn't go to the national championship. They won't even win the Pac-12. So, maybe he has some unfinished business that he wants to take care of.
That's got to be the thought. That or he just didn't like where his draft stock. Now, I know it's a little early to know, but where he was kind of slated in behind all the other quarterbacks, maybe he didn't want to go to one of the teams that would be in that range where he expected to go. I couldn't blame him if he didn't want to go to some of these teams in the NFL. Like we mentioned, USC hiring Steve Sarkisian out of Washington. Ed Orgeron made a bid for staying on as the head coach. In the end, they choose Sarkisian. He wanted Orgeron to stay on. I don't know it's probably not going to happen. Apparently, players were leaving his office just in tears, just broken up, wanted him to stay as the head coach. Although, Steve Sarkisian went I want to call it the Nick Saban route, where I'm not interested. It's really the everybody route because every college coach does it. Every coach everywhere does that. So I can't blame him too much. He is taking his talents, so to speak, to L.A., and he is going to go back. The Pete Carroll coaching tree continues at USC.
I know they hope they picked the right fruit this time off the tree. And
they picked the low-hanging fruit last time, didn't they, with Lane?
Yeah, I mean, and it was really weird how it went down. Sarkisian was on doing a radio interview, and then the news broke within hours, maybe within an hour, that he was going to USC. And, it looks as though he just flat out lied. Maybe he did, although I've seen situations where it was sort of agreed upon, but the fine print wasn't worked out and the deal could still fall through. Obviously, you don't want to give a shaky answer and then have to go back to Washington. It's a tough position. I understand people looking at it and kind of being hurt by it, but, you got to keep recruits confident. You got to, reaffirm your commitment to the school. I know it's an ugly part of the business, but, the big deal for me, Mark, putting that aside, is Steve Sarkisian the right guy? I give him credit. He took over a Washington team that hadn't won a game the previous year. He's now stabilized them. They're going to bowl games consistently. I give him that. Maybe if he were there another 2 or 3 years, he would make them into a Pac-12 title contender. But the fact remains, he stopped right in the middle of that process. So I don't know if he would have continued to take them up, or would he have just plateaued and been a 7-5 type coach at Washington for a few years? It's hard to say what USC is getting.
Yeah, he's roughly a 500 coach, like you said, and the last time, and I know it's not quite apples to apples, but the last time a team, in my opinion, hired a 500-ish coach, he did win him a national championship, but he was Gene Chizik at Auburn. He didn't last very long because
Chizik.
he was lucky to be he was well under 500 at Iowa State. I joke about what the interview process must have been like there at Auburn. Will you cheat? Yep, you're hired. Because they got Cam Newton, they got what they needed to win a national championship, and then they said, "See you, buddy. We'll go get Gus," which turned out to be a pretty good idea for them.
Bad,
he was terrible. Brad made the point the other day. He's the worst coach he's ever seen in any level of football. Really hammered Gene Chizik, but he deserved it. Either way, it remains to be seen if Sarkisian will be the guy. What I found was funny was that we've heard for several years about Boise State coach Chris Peterson. He'll be the guy here. He'll be the guy here. He's their number one target here. I mean, Notre Dame, Texas, Florida, Miami, Arkansas, everywhere.
Oh yeah.
USC has wanted Chris Peterson, and he pulls his name out of consideration for the USC job. Then the Washington job comes open, and people are saying he'll listen. I'm thinking, what in the world about Washington? Maybe it's just because it's the proximity to where he is there in Boise. Maybe he would be interested, but to me, it seems like he's a Mark Few lifer in that area.
Yeah, and you could be right. I mean, so many opportunities he's had. Pretty much every job that's come open since the miracle play against Oklahoma, he's had an opportunity to have that job. And you just never know why a coach wants to leave. But I think it's interesting you bring up Mark Few because remember Munson was a head coach at Gonzaga before Few. He goes to Minnesota. He kind of flames out. Dan Hawkins is the head coach at Boise State. He takes the Colorado job, flames out. So maybe there's something to seeing their predecessors take these bigger jobs and then kind of fall on their face. Although I don't think Chris Peterson would. That's something that may be in the back of his mind. Even though Brad Stevens was young, he looked like he may kind of go that route for a while. Remember, Kentucky was open, UCLA, a lot of these jobs. He finally made the leap to the professional ranks. I don't know if that's what Chris Peterson's waiting on or not. Maybe the NFL or Texas, because I consider Texas to be the NFL as far as a job. But it looks like he's comfortable right now in Boise.
Yeah, he's got. I don't know. He seems like he's happy where he is, and if he's gonna make a lot of money, I don't think he's ever gonna have to hurt for money.
That's right.
So if he can be up there and be comfortable, not have to worry about much, and just continue to churn out wins, and at least be competitive. Now this year they've been down a little bit, and last year they weren't that great, but they'll get back to where he wants them to be, and then he can be pretty well set and confident where he is. I can't necessarily blame him. It's kind of refreshing to me. It's annoying to see his name mentioned in every single coaching search. But it's kind of refreshing that he says, no, I'm kind of happy. I'm happy where I am, and I don't want to go anywhere else just because seeing too many guys seems like it ruins their life.
Is it as annoying as hearing John Gruden's name in every job search?
That's just kind of funny, the whole John Gruden thing. Because so many people, even Arkansas fans, I had people calling me the night before saying, John Gruden's the guy. John Gruden's – no, he's not. I sat there for 30 minutes listening to one of my friends, and he said, John Gruden is my sources are telling me. And I said, dude, your sources are idiots. Your sources are idiots because John Gruden's not coming. That's just kind of funny to me. But all right, we've got Hog Talk. Speaking of the Razorbacks, right after this, Hunter Henry. His dad's tweeting something this morning I thought was pretty interesting. We're going to look at that. Also, a big recruit for the football Hogs and some basketball news. Plenty of Hog Talk right after this break.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
I love this addition to the Hog Talk portion of the show, and Maddie likes to play the fight song. I know you're giving a cheer, never fearing right now.
Never yield.
Hashtag never yield. Yeah. Hogs basketball team comes back from Maui, gets a nice big win over the JV team that is Southeast Louisiana. 111-65, a whole lot of points scored by the Hogs. Lots of contribution,
New one.
or contributors there from the Hogs basketball team, as you had several guys score in double figures, as is usually the case when you score 111 points. You've got a lot of guys contributing, so I was happy to see a lot of these guys get minutes, see Kiko come in and start the game, get 3 big threes, bust the zone. That was one thing I was watching when Arkansas played. It was Minnesota, I guess, in the first half. They came back to win the game. But, no, I think it was the Cal game. I said, I tweeted, the one thing you have to do against Arkansas is just zone the crap out of them. They can't do anything about it. But when they hit threes, it helps. And when they can attack from the high post, it's another thing that can help the zone not have such a big effect on Arkansas. 16 points, like we mentioned, from Bobby Portis and Michael Qualls, 15 from Cody Clark. You're the one who got to actually watch the game while I was covering a little high school. Aside from the fact that the team they played was awful, what did you like as far as contributors to the basketball team?
Well, it really highlighted for me, Mark, the value of being able to penetrate and attack the paint area. Because it just, like you said, Arkansas is going to be zoned up a lot because people aren't confident in their overall shooting, although they have some guys who can make shots. And with Southeast Louisiana, and I'm not bagging on them here, but it's just the truth, it wasn't very difficult for any of Arkansas's guards to penetrate their zone. I mean, you saw the likes of a Ricky Scott, a Fred Gully. I mean, really all these guys, even Kiko, could just drive this zone. Obviously, when they collapse, you can kick it out to open shooters. You can just really rip apart a zone once you get inside of it. Like I said, it highlights the value of a ball handler, somebody who can penetrate. And it's still my concern when you see a zone of a major conference team like a Minnesota or a Cal. Obviously, in SEC play, some teams are going to zone up Arkansas. Can they get inside of it? Because you cannot, as we've seen so many times, stand on the perimeter, pass it around 7 or 8 times, and then jack up a shot at the end of the shot clock. That is not going to get it. Arkansas has got to find a way via dribble drive, via the pass to the high post, find the short corner, whatever it has to be. They have to figure out a way to get into the zone. They did that against Southeast Louisiana, although it was Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you pretty much anything you dial up is going to work. And Mike Anderson sort of alluded to as much. He wanted to see the team come out and play very well on defense, force 24 turnovers. He wanted to see them run, and he wanted to see a lot of guys play. He accomplished all those things. Playing Clemson again on Saturday at 1 o'clock, it'll be a completely different test. It's been my question the whole offseason leading up to this year. You've got 2 big questions that need to be answered. Who's going to be the point guard, and the guy who when the time comes for in a close game for a guy to command the ball, command the respect of his team, and really just basically be the floor general. Who's that going to be? Looks like Fred Gully and Kai Madden are sort of back and forth at the point guard position, and then who's going to hit a shot? When they zone you. Who's going to hit the open three? It looks like Anthlon Bell has been the guy so far this year. Kiko, when he's in the game, he's just one of those guys that you can't help off of. You make him dribble because he ain't gonna go by anybody. Right. If you stand out there and let him shoot threes, though, you're done. It's Rodney Clark style. It's in every time. He was 3 of 5 last night, but. Those questions, and then who's going to protect the rim? I've liked what I've seen from Moses Kingsley. I think he's going to be very, very good at that very specific skill, protecting the rim. Cody Clark at the high post, I like him, and I like Bobby Portis both at the high post. Bobby sometimes has to go down low and play down there, but 16 points from him as well. I like the addition of Landis Harris for a guy who can just get in there and get nasty, get some rebounds, and bring a physical aspect. I like the pieces to this team. It just remains to be seen in the SEC how it'll go. I didn't even realize this, Weldon. They won 10 games in the SEC last year. I think they're better. I think the SEC's down a little bit. They've got a chance to make a run at the tournament.
And I look at this team individually, Mark, and those are good points. Specifically, they have guys who need to clean up certain parts of their game. I want to see Bobby Portis be a little bit more proficient. He can hit that shot. I want him to be Mr. Proficient at that mid-range jump shot. Landis Harris, I like you, Landis, But I don't want you shooting outside shots. I was thinking about if I wanted you to shoot or not. Maui made me think after I saw how your shot looked if I wanted you shooting. The other night really confirmed it. I don't want Harris shooting threes.
15-footer, man. That's where he needs to live.
That's where he needs to live. He can be a bulldog on offensive glass, do all that stuff. I don't want you shooting threes. I've seen your shot. You got a bad-looking shot. You don't need to be shooting threes. That's just the way it is. You mentioned Kiko, and the thing about him is, absolutely, he's a lethal shooter. Only problem with him is when he sees some length. That's where he kind of gets bothered. And Antoine Bell, who doesn't have a conscience, I'd like to see him up his percentage. Yeah. He's going to take some deep threes, so his percentage will be a little bit down. But if he can be consistent at making those deep three-point shots, then you have something. Michael Qualls, I like the job he's doing. He's really assertive. He's playing good basketball. I just think as a team, Mark, and this will be the difference for me, they have to make better decisions. Post players, guards, they have to value possessions. They can't just throw the ball away and think it's no big deal. If they make better decisions, it's little things, I think that'll go a long way for Arkansas.
You mentioned Antoine Bell. In his shooting percentage. He's shooting 37% from three this year, which the fact that he shoots 6 of them a game, 37%, I mean, it's all right. Yeah. It's not great. You'd like to see him make one more a game. He'd be right at 50%. That would be very good for a three-point shooter as far as on average. But like you said, he's the guy who, to me, can stretch the floor and can really cause problems for the other team. Because if he's hitting, he's one of those guys, he's not, like you said, he has no conscience whatsoever, which I love in a shooter. If you want me in the game, I'm going to shoot it.
Right.
You know that's what I do. You can take me out of the game if you don't want me to shoot it. And that's where he lives, and I like that. I'm fine with that. But if he can stretch the floor, and you got guys like Bobby Portis at the high post who can do his thing, and really Bobby Portis he's an all right three-point shooter. I'd rather not see him shooting threes either. He and Alandis can live in their 15 in and make their hay. You've got some guys who can make some noise. Like I said, I like Moses Kingsley. I think he's a little further ahead offensively than where I thought he would even be.
I completely agree on Kingsley. I mean, I just think what he'll be next year when he gets a little bit stronger, a little bit more dominant. Well, I agree. He is way ahead of where we thought he would be. And we got to address the elephant in the room with Arkansas basketball as we wind down. I mean, I think we start to see it from the Minnesota game on now. The seniors, the John Pelfrey holdovers, their minutes are being dramatically reduced. I mean, the faces we've seen of Ricky Scott and Mardrakus Wade, they're in the rotation, but they're not thickly in the rotation, especially Mardrakus Wade. I don't know if they're being phased out. I don't know if Mike Anderson's seeing a group he's comfortable with. But one thing that's really stuck out to me since that Minnesota game, those guys aren't playing nearly as much.
Yeah, Mardrakus Wade, man, it's disappointing to watch him because he's a great defender, and he's been a good defender. But you have watched his minutes go back down, 17 minutes per game as a freshman, now to 13 as a senior. He had 28 minutes a game his second year as a sophomore, 23 minutes a game last year, and now just 13. Now, that part of that comes down to the fact that they've got more guys who can go, and part of it comes down to the fact that he can't be counted upon. You know, his job when he came in, you lock up and you hit threes. He's just not quite been as consistent as a three-point shooter. He'll play, and he'll lock people down. He's a very good defender. He'll play very well in that role, and when he gets a three, if he hits it, I feel like he can earn some more minutes if he begins to shoot the ball a little bit more consistently. Ricky Scott, I'll pass because I don't have anything nice to say.
This is talking about the Texas leading metro area score, whatever all that garbage.
That's why when I say that I don't want to talk about it, it's because I had such high hopes for him, and the fact that he hadn't really delivered. He's a good defender. When I watched him in the SMU game, didn't look like he knew what he was doing. He was falling down all over his own feet, and it was ugly. He's kind of regressed as a senior. So, but I do think they've got 11, 12 guys who can really go and can make contributions this year to the team. But as we wind down and we are out of time for the day, I found that Mark Henry, Hunter Henry's dad, tweeted some information. Now, these are just based on stats that he's looked up and compared to other players in the country, but looks like Hunter Henry was statistically the best freshman tight end in the country and the best tight end overall, statistically speaking, in the SEC as a freshman. So bright things on the future horizon for Arkansas football with Hunter Henry. We knew he was a great player coming in, so it was good that he's sort of lived up to that. And then Arkansas, Jason Kilburn tweeted me, or texted me a moment ago about some recruiting information. I got a big commit from the 2015 class. Arkansas is number 6 in the country right now in recruiting rankings for the 2015 class. That's Ty Story. And a guy named Froholt, defensive end. I wouldn't even try to pronounce his first name. He is a defensive end from Denmark. He played his sophomore year in Ohio, went back to Denmark this year. He'll be back next year as a senior in the States to play football and close out his high school career. He's one of the top. He's a 4-star, one of the top 50 recruits in the country as a defensive end, and now he's committed to play at Arkansas. Chosen Arkansas over everybody else. Ohio State, Alabama, Florida, Florida State, a lot of big offers from Froholt, so it's a big deal to get him. And then Arkansas has offered its 6th Arkansas recruit for the 2014 class. It's Zach Wary, a 6'4" linebacker, 220 out of Rogers. So trying to pick up, you said they have 17 recruits in the 2014 class. Right. Trying to fill out that class. They really need some guys who can have an immediate impact because this year, you've watched some of these guys play and there's some help needed.
Oh, there's some definite help needed. And, looking at some of the recruits Arkansas has, I've come across a few myself, not saying Coach Bielema and I are recruiting in the same circles, but there's a few names that are crossing paths, and I'm not trying to start a rivalry here, but telling Coach Bielema to be aware because I'm coming.
Just watch out for Weldon. He's coming to get you. Well, hopefully the Hogs can land some more of these big-name guys. We're not biased at all here as journalists. We're not biased toward the Hogs whatsoever. We are. We're Hog fans first and foremost.
I don't know if that kid play well. Played in Denmark his year back in Denmark.
Yeah,
Did he have anywhere to play?
That's just wild to me. If he played his sophomore year here in the States,
right,
and then he didn't play this last year in Denmark, how many years has he played football? And how do they know much about it? How is he rated that high?
Where did they find it?
I guess he went to some camps and things like that during his sophomore year and just lit it up. He had to have.
He may be like Marcus Hunt. Remember, he used to play for SMU. Now he's in the pros. I can't think who he's in the pros with, but he's a big 6'8" kid from SMU.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back on Friday with more Sports Blitz for Weldon and Maddie. I'm Mark. So long. Have a good day. Join us back here at 11 o'clock on Friday. RiverValleyLeader.com.